Hello, hello. Hello, hello. We may be live. Maybe. Ooh. Oh my goodness. Willow. Willow. Hey. God damn. Oh, so quickly that unraveled. Willow hates when the neighbors are having fun. She would call the police if she could. Okay. Okay, tight. Okay. Levels are good. We love the beginning of the stream. Levels check. Oh, always such a smooth start. Anyway, yeah, as you can probably hear, I'm still a little sick. Um, yeah, I fell behind with my schoolwork. But that's okay. There's still, it's like recoverable. Um, the only deadline that I missed was for full credit on like a discussion post thing, but those literally happen every week. Other than that, I'm only falling behind on self-imposed deadlines leading up to hard deadlines. So, I have a thing happening. I have a dinner with a friend to go to tonight. So, we're just gonna hit the books really hard until then, and you all get to hang out with me while I do it. For anyone that shows up, probably no one. For anyone who does, this is what we're doing. So, have fun. It's also getting really hot. Like, it's not like 100 degrees, but it's been like mid 60s for a while now. And now it's been like 80 degrees these past couple days. The temperature jump was pretty sudden. And in the part of California that we live in, no one has air conditioners. So it's all just like up to the ceiling fan. So it's gonna be sweaty. I already know that. Oh. So, yeah, here we go. Let's get into it, I guess. Keep reading the content. considerations of healthcare and other considerations. The employer's responsibility or ethical obligation to provide on average, employers can offer healthcare costs to employees and discrimination could be injured at the onset. Yeah, that's a liability. Balance between these stakeholders. Let's reference a study that was done about dynamics between stakeholders when it comes to buy-in and trust in workplace health promotion programs. Really interesting stuff. And the employee. However, it is important to navigate state and federal laws to prevent discrimination, protect privacy, and meet requirements. I think protect privacy is like underrated parts of that. Each one with legal considerations, waiver and release of liability, things like on-site gym, Affordable Care Act, ACA, aka Obamacare, Equal Opportunity Employment Commission, federal law for anti-discrimination, Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, HIPAA. Basically, just your health information is protected in its privacy, and care providers are held to a really high standard to protect that privacy. Make sure that that information doesn't go to people that you don't intend for it to go to. Americans with Disabilities Act. Another anti-discrimination, and it's a requirement to meet genetic information non-discrimination. That's a discrimination of privacy. State laws and requirements, tax implications, and then that's meets requirements. Previous module we discussed the impact of ACA on workplace health promotion. Yeah, sorry you guys don't get to know about that one. Here are some important highlights. As of 2014, employers can offer discounts to up to 30% to participate in a wellness program. Rewards for wellness programs cannot exceed 30% of the cost of the employee-only or family coverage through the plan. The employer must offer reasonable alternatives for those who cannot meet standards. Right. So that's saying, like, if there's like a workplace walking program and there's any sort of reward tied to like meeting a certain number of steps, you have to make sure that employees who have a reason, not really easy example, a person in a wheelchair, they're not going to meet the number of steps required, right? So there needs to be reasonable alternative for those who cannot meet standards for participation. Classic stuff, pretty easy. Insurance Portability Accountability Act. In a previous module, HIPAA was also described in general, but it's important to understand how it relates to workplace wellness. Generally, it prohibits discrimination against someone based on a health factor related to cost-sharing premium calculation. Okay. Programs must promote health and prevent disease. Be available to all similarly situated individuals, employees versus dependent spouse, and our children, full-time versus part-time. Provide a reasonable alternative. Employees must receive an opportunity to qualify for any reward at least once a year. We get to watch a video. That's like
Hello and welcome. My name is Allison Bream and I'm the CEO and founder of Virtual Corporate Wellness. In today's video, I want to talk about the number one thing that will kill your corporate wellness program if you don't address this before you start, and that is employee privacy. So, as you know, your health, your personal information, that's something that's very private and it should be kept that way. And I think a lot of times when it comes to corporate wellness, a lot people think about, they're gonna look at my health results and they're gonna assess where I'm at, or they're gonna see.
So that's the idea that like if there's a diabetes prevention and testing program that happens at your workplace, that's the concern that your employer will then have access to the information of what the outcome of those tests were. So let's say like go to get a diabetes test and it comes out that you have like type 2 diabetes. She's talking about like the concern you would have that your employer then knows that you have diabetes, which like is a reasonable concern. It makes sense.
That, maybe I'm going to the doctor a lot, and how is that going to impact my employment? And I think it's really, it's a valid question, that employees raise, but at the same time, it's your responsibility to squash those fears because, when corporate wellness is done right, it's really very transparent. The employees know exactly what you're doing, how you're tracking, and what you're going to be doing with that information. So you need to make sure that you are ACA and HIPAA compliant, and making sure that any partners or vendors that you bring on board to come in and help you with your corporate wellness programs are taking employee privacy seriously. So I hope this quick tip helps, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And hop on over to my website at virtualcorporatewellness.com, sign up, enter in your first name and your best email address, and we'll take it from there so we can continue the dialogue. Until then, take care, and I'll see you in the next video.
Okay. Great. Very informative. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. To a ruling in 2016, employers may provide limited financial and other incentives in exchange for an employee answering disability-related questions. I need to read that again. Limited financial and other incentives in exchange for an employee answering disability-related questions or taking medical examinations as part of the wellness program. Okay, so like we'll pay you $50 to go do a diabetes test. The U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia, Washington, D.C., vacated the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission's wellness rule in 2019. Is that same one? In 2021, the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission announced it would publish proposed wellness rules for public comment soon. While it remains unclear when the EEOC will issue its rule officially, employers should continue monitoring this to ensure that their future wellness plans comply with federal laws.
In today's morning rounds, the price of privacy. Workplace wellness programs help rein in soaring cost of insurance premiums by giving incentives to adapt healthy behaviors. But the nation's largest consumer interest groups for Americans over 50, AARP, says federal regulations on those programs could compromise privacy and make people vulnerable to discrimination. The organization is suing the government's Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. Our Dr. David Agus is here. Good morning.
Morning, Charlie.
What do you think of this?
I think the average health premium for an individual at a company is $6,000. And as of January, when this new law goes into place, is you can give a 30% incentive to somebody. That's several $1,000s if they give their health information and submit to a medical exam. So I think AARP is correct in that we have to start to think about privacy. That information it doesn't mean it will, but it could be used in discriminatory practices.
How would they penalize employees?
Well, if you think about it, if you're going to choose between two employees to go to a big assignment, out of the office or to Europe, and you hear that one of them has diabetes, you may say, listen, I'm probably going to send the person who does it because I don't want that person maybe to get sick or something like that. And so it's something that in the back of people's minds may be there, and we need to build this wall so health information on one side, employment decisions, corporate decisions on another side. There really needs to build something in place to separate them.
Isn't it supposed to be confidential, though? your employers are encouraging you to sign up so you can benefit. Why should you be penalized because you may suffer from something that really isn't life-threatening?
Well, but they may be life-threatening. And by the way, it's not just your information, it's your spouse, all the people on your plans also.
I don't have a spouse.
Well, let's talk about that, Gail.
Yes, Frank, let's. No, but why? But shouldn't your personal back to my original question? Yeah, I'm not trying.
This is becoming shrink central.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be cute here. Shouldn't your personal information be kept confidential and not used against you?
Yes, and what I think
That's exactly
I'm
what he's
putting
saying.
words in the ARP's mouth, but what I think they're saying is let's put into place a system where we know it's going to be kept confidential and kept separate.
Okay, yeah, that's the point.
Yeah.
Where you
Yeah,
know
that's
it'll be kept confidential.
Now, do these wellness programs work?
Well, I mean, some work and some don't. I didn't
Sometimes.
mean to be. Some work and
ones
some don't work. And I think we have to be better at looking at metrics and figure out which ones do. Health costs are going up, and we see that story over and over again.
Yeah.
Whether Obamacare or not, we as a country are getting chronic illnesses. And we have to figure out ways, and workplace is the best place to do it, to really change behavior.
But I think it's good that a workplace encourages wellness
do
and
too.
provides workout facilities and encourages that healthy eating, all of that. That should be the norm. I know you agree with that.
Well,
Leadership creates normative behavior.
But is anybody arguing against that? I mean, creating
They're not
wellness
letting
is
this guy talk.
crucial for employers because they want their employees to be healthy.
Plus, it's 20% of their business costs. I mean,
Exactly.
so there's an economic reason to
Right.
do it to it. So no question about it. What they're saying is let's do the structure so we can really separate private information and wellness programs.
Develop a better system.
So when Frank Luntz said he
Yes.
hadn't been to a doctor in
Yes.
20 years, did you want to grab him to your bosom and say, "Come with me, son"?
There's a green room there. We
Yeah,
will
there you
talk, and I
Just
will
sit
work
down.
on them.
Yeah, just sit down.
Do you have your
Good to
blood
see
pressure
David
thing with
Angus.
you?
No, but there's one right there on the wall in that graphic. I can grab it.
Let's fire that up, as you know. Yeah, let's
Thank you,
fire that up.
David Angus.
I hate talk shows. God, it felt like they weren't even listening to him. He's talking about how, it's not right that someone's health information is used against them in company making decisions. She says, well, yeah, shouldn't it be confidential? Shouldn't that not be factored into the company's decision making? He's like, yeah, that's what I just said. Oh, man. Importantly, we'll consider and a waiver and release of liability for some workplace wellness programs if a gym is offered on site. Yeah, so that's like you could get injured there, right? And so the company needs to make sure that you sign a waiver or release of liability saying that if you get injured in the workplace gym that you're not going to sue the company for having a gym on site, and that because they had that gym that provided the opportunity for you to get injured, therefore you deserve compensation, and that's why you got injured. That's all those are saying. And so whenever you go to do an activity, let's say you go kayaking, right? I live by the beach, so that kind of stuff happens all the time. You go to a company, you go to rent a kayak, you're going to sign this waiver where you're saying that if your finger breaks because it gets pinched in between the paddle and the kayak and your finger breaks, you're not going to sue the company because they gave you the opportunity to be in a situation where a paddle and a kayak could break your finger, right? So the assumption of risk, I agree that my participation in the wellness program, whether I take part in activities on group or individual basis, is at my own risk. I understand that taking part in physical exercise, sport, fitness, and other recreational or physical activities comes with an inherent risk of injury, damage, illness, or loss, right? When you play soccer, there's a chance you could get hurt. You could sprain your ankle, right? You could even really mess up your knee if a slide tackle goes weird, right? I waive my right to file a lawsuit against company for any injury or loss resulting from wellness program activity. So then you can't turn around and sue your employer for that knee. I don't believe that this disqualifies you from something like workers' comp. And that doesn't mean that if while you're playing soccer, your boss comes over with a sledgehammer and fucking goes to town on your knees, you can't sue them for that because that's not related to the health and wellness program, right? Does that kind of make sense? With how litigious the US, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not even making myself out to be, but it's understanding where liability lands in situations. And when you're signing a waiver, you're saying that through the regular and expected course of actions, that if you get injured during that, because that's always a possibility, that you're not going to sue them because they provided the opportunity for you to do that. But if something goes wrong, right? Like if the equipment fails because they got shitty equipment, things like that, you can still hold them accountable for that kind of stuff. Like, that's different. That's not covered by the waiver, essentially. Like that. I don't know. I hope that kind of makes sense, and I'm not just making it even more confusing. No warranties. Further understand and agree that makes no warranties, express or implied, as to the wellness program, the property on which the wellness program will take place, persons in attendance, whether I have any health limitations that would preclude my participation. This advised me to consult a physician before I undertake any physical exercise program. To the best of my knowledge, I'm in good and sufficient physical condition to participate in a wellness program. In the event that I'm physically injured or otherwise may require emergency care, I give permission to company or any of its agents under the wellness program to secure from my licensed hospital physician. Yeah, there we go. Makes sense. Hey, the ADA compliance. Disability-related inquiries under voluntary programs. Prohibits screening as a tool for discrimination against an employee. Yep, that's like, oh, turns out our factory workers, some of them have diabetes. Okay, well, I guess we're firing all of them because we don't want to have employees that might have to take off sick days because they go into a diabetic coma. Not allowed to do that. Reasonable accommodations and access. The location of the biometric screening should be accessible to the individual with physical disabilities. You can't make it so that the only place to get the blood pressure screening is up a ladder, so that people who are not able to climb ladders cannot get up to the screening. That kind of idea. This federal act restricts how employers may collect and use employees' genetic information. That's things like Down syndrome. Really pertinent to like modern discourse is like chromosome analysis. So like figuring out if certain employees are XX, XY, XXY, XYY, all that kind of fun stuff. Single X, you know, all the good stuff. Is dreaming in the corner. It's really cute.
So your organization had a large role in helping to get the Genetic Information Non-Discrimination Act passed. And so I know that there's also some concern now about the Employee Wellness Program Act. So what are these concerns? What does this mean for patients if this other act is passed?
Okay, so first and foremost, the Genetic Information Non-Discrimination Act is also known as GINA, so I'm going to call it GINA from this point forward. GINA was passed to protect people from discrimination in health insurance and employment based on genetic predisposition to disease. And that law is supposed to make it illegal to use any information about your family health history or your genetic status to make decisions regarding your healthcare coverage or your employment. And the law is a good thing. It provides comfort to people who go through genetic counseling and testing, or people who just have a strong family history. The law has some gaps. It does not cover life insurance or disability insurance or long-term care insurance, and that is a problem because an individual with a genetic mutation, for instance, or strong family history could be denied life insurance. And so that's something we are working towards closing that gap, and we strive to make the law stronger. Unfortunately, some things have happened in recent years that are threatening to undermine that law. and it falls under the Affordable Care Act, and it sounded like something rather innocuous when it was passed. Employers and Congress felt that encouraging employees to participate in wellness programs was a good thing, and obviously wellness programs can be a good thing, but the employers were frustrated that many employees were not participating. So Congress decided to enable incentives to encourage employees to participate, and these incentives will take the form in some cases of penalties. So they decided that employers could incentivize an employee up to 30% of their insurance premium to participate or not participate in a wellness program. What this ultimately could translate to for an employee is the average employee pays about $6,000 a year for health insurance. If an employee does not want to participate in a health risk assessment, for instance, or a biometric screening, and they just say, nope, not interested, their employer has the right to penalize them up to $2,000, which is about 30% of their health insurance premium, for refusing to participate. That is a big concern. And so ultimately what happened was there was a disconnect between the Affordable Care Act and the encouragement there, and the Americans with Disability Act and the GINA law. So the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission has initiated proposed rules that will in fact allow these penalties to be implemented. The ADA comment deadline has already passed. The GINA comment deadline was just extended 30 days into late January, which is a positive thing because it gives us more time to evaluate the situation. But we are extremely concerned about this because it threatens to undermine the security that people have, that information, that health information is not going to be falling into the wrong hands. Many of these wellness programs are run by third-party vendors who are not bound by the same privacy and protection laws as employers and healthcare providers. So the information provided could end up in the wrong place. The other thing they're looking at for GINA is to expand the potential incentives, which again could take the form of penalties, to one's spouse. So if the spouse does not want to answer questions about family health history or genetic status, they can extend the penalty to the entire family's health plan, which is about $18,000 a year. So a third of that would be approximately $6,000. It's a complicated issue, but we're very concerned about it, and it flies in the face of personalized medicine and the whole precision medicine initiative because it basically de-incentivizes people from exploring family health history and genetics. So we're working on it as an organization with a whole coalition of groups, and you'll see updates on our website as the issue moves forward.
Laws. Some states have other laws that may affect a workplace wellness program. For example, Oregon restricts collecting employees' genetic information. I think that's good. Look at this interactive map that helps you examine state laws for private and public responsibilities. Okay. Orienting new employees, developing job descriptions, establishing and administrating compensation systems, fostering safe work environment, ensuring compliance with legal requirements, disciplinary counseling procedures, protecting the corporation from liability. Whoa, it's loud.
HR Basics is a series of short lessons designed to highlight what you need to know about a particular
long one,
human
boys.
resource management topic. In today's HR Basics, we explore mandatory and voluntary employee benefits and their administration. Employee benefits include all compensation other than hourly wages or base salary. Employee benefits are the programs an employer uses to support the cash compensation employees receive. These health, income protection, savings, and retirement programs provide security for employees and their families. Mandatory benefits in the United States include Social Security, workers' compensation, unemployment compensation, and family and medical leave. Additionally, beginning in 2015, employers are responsible for the employer shared responsibility provisions of the Affordable Care Act. Income discontinuity caused by the Great Depression led to the Social Security Act as a means to protect families from financial devastation in the event of unemployment. The Social Security Act was one of the first social insurance programs implemented in the United States. Social Security provides the foundation of basic security for American workers and their families. Its purpose is to provide retired workers with a continuous stream of income after their retirement. Social Security is funded by employer and employee payroll taxes. Workers' compensation is a form of no-fault insurance that covers medical care for work-related injuries, providing temporary, permanent partial, and permanent total and survivor disability benefits. Workers' compensation insurance programs are run by individual states and are designed to cover employee expenses incurred in work-related accidents and injuries. Typically, workers' compensation provides cash benefits and medical care to employees when they suffer injuries or illnesses related to their employment. It also provides survivor benefits to dependents of workers who die due to work-related accidents. Workers' compensation begins paying for an employee's medical care immediately after a workplace injury occurs. The National Federal State Unemployment Insurance Program provides weekly income to individuals who become unemployed through no fault of their own. Each state administers its own program and develops guidelines with parameters set by the federal government. Almost all workers are covered by the program, although the eligibility requirements are determined by state law. Individuals must meet several criteria to qualify for unemployment benefits, including limited voluntary employment or involuntary unemployment, minimum earnings and employment requirements, a waiting period in most states, the capacity to work and availability to do so, and actively seeking suitable work. Funding for benefits is based on an unemployment tax that employers are required to pay. The tax rate each employer pays is determined by individual states and based on the number of employment claims filed against the employer. The Family Medical Leave Act requires covered employers to provide employees job-protected and unpaid leave for qualified medical and family reasons. Qualified medical and family reasons include personal or family illness, family military leave, pregnancy, adoption, or foster care placement of a child. The FMLA is administered by the Wage and Hour Division of the Department of Labor and entitles eligible employees and covered employers to take unpaid, job-protected leave for 12 work weeks in a 12-month period. The FMLA requires that employers maintain employees' health benefits during the leave and restore employees to their same or equivalent job after the leave ends. The law sets requirements for notice, both by the employee and the employer, and provides employers with the right to require certification of the need for an FMLA leave. The Affordable Care Act extends health care to many Americans not covered by an employer or other private plan. Employers with 50 full-time employees in a calendar year are required to comply with the employer shared responsibility provisions of the Act. For purposes of the Affordable Care Act, a full-time employee is someone who works an average of 30 or more hours per week. Employers must offer affordable health coverage to their full-time employees and their dependents, or they may be subject to the employer shared responsibility penalty. The health care coverage offered by an employer must provide
that 30 hours a week thing. That's why a lot of younger people think, like high school, college age people, if you're working like a retail job or like a food job, like any sort of employment that you have, like often your manager is doing everything they can to keep your average below 30 hours a week. When I worked retail, that meant that like leading up to Christmas, our hours were like cut pretty significantly to like 15 hours a week. And then during Christmas, we'd be working like 40-hour weeks, right? Like everybody. And that's because it's so busy. And so it's all about keeping that average below 30. It gets really tricky when things get gamified And it just gets really weird for companies trying to keep their number of full-time employees as low as possible. Yeah, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing.
Minimum level of coverage. The coverage is considered to be affordable as long as the employee's share of the cost is less than 9.5% of the employee's annual household income. Employers may be subject to penalty if at least one full-time employee is receiving a premium tax credit because they're purchasing individual coverage in an exchange, also known as a health insurance marketplace. Voluntary benefits, sometimes referred to as discretionary benefits, are those that an employer voluntarily chooses to offer its employees. Voluntary benefits primarily focus on health, wellness, and welfare, life management, and retirement. Many of these benefits would be extremely expensive for employees if they had to purchase them outside the group plans provided by their employers. Even if employees have to pay a portion of the cost, a group plan lowers the amount considerably. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics reported the following information about employees' access to voluntary benefits. 86% of full-time and 23% of part-time workers received employer-provided medical care. 74% of full-time and 37% of part-time workers had access to a retirement plan. And 74% of full-time and 24% of part-time workers received paid sick leave benefits. Flexible benefit plans allow employees to select from a pool of choices, some or all of which may be tax advantaged. Potential choices include cash, retirement plan contribution, vacation days, and insurance. These are also called cafeteria plans. Traditional benefits contain the same set of benefits for each employee. This creates administrative ease and represents a one-size-fits-all approach. Increasingly, however, companies are replacing these fixed plans with cafeteria benefit plans, which give employees the choice to select the benefits they need. A robust benefits package can be the difference in your total reward strategy. But the cost of benefits is rising each year, and providing a benefit package that helps you attract, retain, and motivate talented people gets harder all the time. Methods to assist companies in managing the cost of benefits can include employee contributions, waiting periods, high deductible plans, and a wellness focus. While each of these strategies holds promise for lowering the cost of your benefit plan, the key is finding the ones that best suit your organizational culture and employee needs.
It's important to understand the difference between responsibility versus the authority of human resource staff. Human resource staff supports departments and assists employees, managers in the organization. Assists is doing a lot of heavy lifting. They defend the organization from the employees and the managers. You do not have the authority to order other managers to accept their ideas. That's true. I mean, but once it's policy, it's policy. It's not an idea. Once it's policy, and HR works closely with company administration and decision makers to create that policy. Like, HR themselves aren't necessarily going to be lawyers, but they're going to be organizing the conversations between like the C-suite employees and the lawyers to then create the policy, and the managers have to roll with that. So that's true that they can't force managers to go along with their ideas, but HR has a larger influence on what becomes policy than the managers, which once it's policy, then the managers do have to follow it. So I'm gonna disagree with the second order effects of that statement. Line authorities, the operating department managers, allowing them to make decisions about production performance of people. But that's all within the framework of policy, so. Some organizations have individuals within their human resources department. Wellness coordinator, that's not always the case. There are a lot of people who are involved in workplace wellness. Some examples. Cal Poly. Oh, that is so small. We zoom. Excuse? Ha ha ha. Associate Vice President, Assistant to the Associate Vice President. Director, Employee and Organizational Development. Director, Talent Acquisition. Director, HR, Partner Services. Director, Employee Services. Director, Human Resource Information Services. Analysts. Temporary positions. Wait, no. Indirect report. Indirectly report to them. Temporary positions. Student. Yeah. Student assistant. Those are all like student positions. Oh, there's so many acronyms. It makes it impossible to read as a normal person. And it's on purpose. It's true. Do you have a health? They offer clinical from medical and counseling services. Student health and well-being. It's like the student health center. Student focused wellness program. Insurance options for students enrolled in it. I don't know if Cal Poly offers insurance, but I know that the wellness center can be your primary care and that they have like a ton of stuff that they can do in-house. So like kind of functions like having insurance, but like anything that you need outside of the wellness center, like kind of up a creek. There we go.
Can you tell me your name and current position?
I know her. I know her. When was 3 years ago? Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, I know her. I had classes with her. I don't remember her name. I feel horrible. We definitely had some classes together though. She was really smart.
Hi, my name's Jeannie Kim. I use she, her pronouns. I'm the Director of Wellbeing and Health Education at Campus Health and Wellbeing for Cal Poly.
Thank you. And then what educational and professional training did you receive before obtaining this position?
I have my undergraduate degree from Penn State in Human Development and Family Studies. And then I went to Cal Poly for my master's in public policy, focusing on health policy and social policy. And then I just completed my doctorate in social work, focusing on harnessing technology for social good.
There you go.
And then the next question is, I would like to hear more about Cal Poly's campus health and well-being. How do you promote the health and well-being of faculty and staff? And then how do you promote the well-being of students?
Yeah, so I don't know if this is the best time for me to share my slide deck, which I could do really quickly.
A slide deck! Let's go!
Can you see that okay?
Yes.
So we kind of went through, who I am. I am a first-gen student I grew up in California all of my life and explored the East Coast for my undergrad, and then quickly came back to California because I missed the sunny weather. I am a student athlete. I'm also a mom, as well as managing director, manager,
campaign,
and leader
that I am Cal Poly.
here at Cal Poly. So
I remember that one.
We
that was
already
good.
went through some of those questions.
Back in
about who I am, but talking a little bit about what I do,
18?
especially with worksite wellness, but for students, staff, and faculty at Cal Poly, it's really unique in terms of thinking about worksite wellness and strategies. So within the US, we have 20.4 million college students. And of that, within the state of California, we are one of 23 California state universities in the CSU. So we make up 423,000 students within the state of California, which is huge. It's the largest public university in the nation. And then of that, there's 52,000, almost 53,000 staff and faculty that are employed by the California State University system. So of that,
which is different than the UC system. So that's like the difference between like
there's 21,000.
Like UC San Diego, that's University of California San Diego, versus I mean, Cal Poly is a USC, USC like Chico, USC. I think the CSU schools. CSU Bakersfield, Channel Islands, Fresno State, CSU Fullerton. I almost went there. Yeah, the CSUs are considered like the budget option compared to the UCs. They're not as prestigious, but I think the CSUs are like really solid. If there are any people interested in going to a 4-year program and you live in California, I really recommend looking at CSUs. I also recommend reevaluating being a transfer student out of somewhere like a junior college or a community college. It can save a lot of money. It's not the route I went, but a lot of my friends from Cal Poly, a lot of them were transfer students, and in my opinion, and I think there's some data that shows this, that like transfer students are some of the best students at 4-year universities. They have like really fantastic GPAs, really fantastic like time management, work ethic. Going to a junior college or a community college really lets you kind of like figure yourself out and like figure out how to be a good and effective student before coming to a 4-year, which is like much more expensive. So I don't know. I'm a big proponent for doing the JC community college kind of track and then transferring into a CSU to finish it out. I think that it's like a really economic way to do it, and I think that you still get a lot of the benefits from both. The only thing you'd really be like missing out on if you made that decision is like maybe like the freshman year dorm experiences, but I don't think that's the end of the world. You still can live in the dorms as a transfer. Like a lot of the CSUs, if they do have on-site dorms or like on-campus dorms, they'll often be open to upperclassmen as well. So like it's like you're just not going to be in the same dorms as like the first years and stuff like that. At least at Cal Poly, that's how it is. So I don't know. I think that you can't go wrong either way. But looking at the economy and how everything is with that, I might recommend transferring in. There's a lot of benefits. I wish I had done that personally. But anyway, back to the video.
Cal Poly students, roughly, give or take, and then we have about 3,000 staff and faculty on our campus. So as a leader, I've been in my role for about 4 years now, and there was no worksite wellness promotion program before I got here. And when I got hired as the director of well-being at Cal Poly, the ask was to develop an innovative program that could harness the power of health and well-being as a culture for students, staff, and faculty. And I still truly believe that if our if our whole community isn't well, then how can our staff and faculty serve our students, in a capacity where they're at, and also ensure vice versa that our students are healthy and well if our staff and faculty aren't well themselves. So it's an interesting dynamic of wanting to ensure the whole community has access to services and resources so that we can all thrive.
Great. Okay, so let me just X this out and then, okay, so the next question is, what are some of the challenges of worksite wellness? And then this could be specific to your own organization or worksite wellness in general.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's really challenging is we know that there are a ton of contributing factors to, what the social determinants of health of an individual are and of a population.
I need to go back. I need to go back in time. I wasn't paying enough attention.
The power of health and well-being as a culture for students, staff, and faculty. And I still truly believe that if our whole community isn't well, then how can our staff and faculty serve our students, in a capacity where they're at, and also ensure vice versa that our students are healthy and well if our staff and faculty aren't well themselves. So it's an interesting dynamic of wanting to ensure the whole community has access to services and resources so that we can all thrive.
Great. Okay, so let me just X this out and then, okay, so the next question is, what are some of the challenges of worksite wellness? And then this could be specific to your own organization or worksite wellness in general.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's really challenging is we know that there are a ton of contributing factors to, what the social determinants of health of an individual are and of a population. And as public health professionals and health educators and counselors and medical providers, we're trying to provide treatment, and we're also trying to provide prevention, and we're also trying to provide recovery services for the population that we serve. But as we go through some of these stats, I think what's really important to consider is, we have 8 in 10 students who are reporting being overwhelmed. We have 6 in 10 students who are reporting social isolation. We have 5 in 10 students who report being hopeless. We have 3 in 10 students who are reporting hungry and homelessness. And then we have 2 in 10 students who are experiencing sexual assault. So when we think about population and we think about all the services that we're trying to provide, and this is just for students, I'm sure these statistics mirror our staff and faculty as well. But when we're trying to provide a comprehensive worksite wellness or health and well-being services for our campus, it's a moving target. And as you can imagine, our priority obviously is our students, right? We are here to serve our students. As a university, that's our mission, is student development, student leadership, research, scholarship, all of those things. But when you kind of peel away the onion and you start looking at all these different things that contribute to the health and well-being of an individual person, it's hard to start thinking about human-centered design when you're developing universal prevention programming for an entire campus. So I would say that's probably the biggest challenge, is that it's a moving target. But what I love the most about my job is being able to take these statistics and start building out interventions, prevention strategies, and treatment options that are available for the population that I serve.
Awesome. And then I believe that leaves us with, okay, so what are some of the challenges of promoting health? Did I already ask this question? I'm not sure. This is the
You said staff and then also students, so I think I covered both.
Okay, great. And then we'll just do the last question. Do you have any advice for someone considering working in the worksite wellness or university health promotion setting?
I think when you're going into it, it can be really daunting at first. I have a slide in here. Sorry, these are kind of the details of the services that we provide. So within my office, we provide health education, health promotion, victim advocacy, recovery support, and wellness resources. But then, how I do it on the campus is not just by direct service, but through designing and developing university strategic plans. So this kind of goes into your question of what does it look like? What does a day in my life look like as a leader on our campus? And I'm looking at, what does the university strategic plan have in it? And does it have policies and things that help support or contribute to health and well-being? So oftentimes I'll hear feedback from students who will say, well, I really think there should be a policy that caps what time labs can go until, because I'll be up until about 10 or 11 finishing up a lab, then I still have to eat dinner, and then I have to wake up in the morning for a 7 a.m. class, right? And so thinking about all those different nuances that contribute to the health and well-being of our students, plus the faculty are teaching that. So if they're on that same schedule, what would that look like? And so I'm constantly listening and learning, sitting on university-wide standing committees, hearing what's happening on campus, doing our campus-based research, assessing and doing baseline surveys to make sure that what we're doing is effective. Following up with our Chancellor Office initiatives, so like our Basic Needs Initiative is one from the Chancellor's Office, which is addressing student homelessness and hunger. Coalition building and strategic partnerships. So I think oftentimes when you hear the word worksite wellness, folks immediately in their mind think about fitness classes and different types of strategies like that, like the physical health and well-being of individuals. But there's a whole other side of the profession that also looks at policies, procedures, safety, risk mitigation, all of these different things that contribute to the work.
I see.
And then this is just kind of the breakdown. This is one of the other things that would be different coming into, a university worksite wellness program. At Cal Poly, there's 4 different segments essentially at the university. We have our human resources, which provide employee benefits like health, vision, and dental, our employee assistance programs, which help support individuals if they needed to call for emergency counseling services or things like that. And our Learn and Grow program, which is our professional development program. And then within the academic affairs realm, for our faculty specifically, we have the Center for Teaching, Learning, and Technology, which does a lot of the same functions that our human resources does for the development specifically for our faculty members. And then the Cal Poly Corporation, which folks don't really realize, is campus dining and some of the other facilities and management that happen on the campus to make sure that things are running and our students have food, and sponsorships and sponsored programs and all the grants that we get. It's our ability to receive funding into the university. And then we have student affairs, which is the division that I'm in, where the health center lives, the recreation center lives. And we help support campus-wide initiatives and events like the 31 Days of Wellness, which is in May, and developing projects, new innovative projects like our Cal Poly Farmers Market. So when you ask the question about what does it look like or what to expect, it's working collaboratively across these different divisions within the system on our campus to ensure that we're hitting the mark and supporting services and support for our students, staff, and faculty.
Perfect. Yeah, this was great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think and I think the last, we definitely use a socioecological model. We're thinking about evidence-based theory and practices to contributing to worksite wellness. And then I think the last one, I'll just skip through these slides. So I think you asked, like, what do we do and what would it look like? I think I love this graphic of the iceberg on the left, right? Like you think about, worksite wellness is about the physical health, diet, and exercise of an individual. But there are all these things underneath the iceberg that we're working towards addressing or preventing and helping to support an individual in order for them to thrive. And so it's not an easy task, I can say that, but I think it's one of the most rewarding experiences that I've ever had, is looking holistically at a community or a population and thinking about, what the prevention framework would look like to support the health and well-being of an individual on our campus, no matter where they're at, right? So, we still want to be client or student focused or person focused, and we know that not one size is going to fit all for everyone. But being able to develop things and be innovative, like our Mustangs for Recovery program that provides recovery support services for individuals who are in recovery from substance use and abuse, is huge, right? So being able to provide continuity of care across the spectrum for individuals is what the bulk of the work is.
I see. Yeah, and I think, if there's anything else that you want to add, you can go ahead. But yeah, I think those are all the questions. So
Yeah, I think the only other thing that I would say is worksite wellness resources that we pull from, right? So when I'm doing my research and when I'm doing looking at the best practices and what the standards are,
That kind of stuff is really important because you don't want to be reinventing the wheel.
Worksite wellness resources or just wellness resources that I pull from. So wanting to share that with the class too is there are folks who have been studying this and working really hard on this, and I'm sure you all have probably covered a lot of these, but it's a little unique to the university setting where we do have a lot of professional associations that help support and guide the work that we do. Many of us as practitioners and health education promotion are on or part of these professional associations that help guide the work that we do. So just wanted to leave that there so that folks have an opportunity to explore the different kind of segments within population health and well-being, so that they can get a little bit more acclimated to it. And internships and job opportunities are listed on all of these resources. So a really great place to start if you're just wondering what the profession looks like and what the different opportunities are.
Perfect. Well, yeah, I think that's all those questions. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Cute. Had a full-time job, mine did. It was nifty. Yeah. So your premium, so when I was working there, so the health insurance premium is how much per month I allowed them, because I didn't want to like send them a check. They just like took it out of my paycheck, right? So it's like, oh, like we pull 50 each month, and that goes towards your health insurance. I'm like, okay, great. Copay is like, then when I go to the doctor and I say, hi, this is my health insurance, like, help me out. Like, okay, great. That'll be $20. Like, the copay under your health insurance for a visitation is going to be $20. It's going to be $7. It's going to be $2. That kind of stuff. A deductible is the amount you pay before health insurance policy pays. I'm less strong in understanding how deductibles work, like the intricacies of it, but I know that like especially if you have like expensive medication, deductible is, so like if over the course of the whole year your medication costs $15,000 but your deductible is $500, you're gonna pay for the first $500 of your medication, but after that they're covering it. And typically I think what that ends up looking like is that like it's your copay that goes in towards paying your deductible, because a deductible is like over the course of a year. So like your copay then goes towards your deductible or something like that. Don't quote me on that. But so then like each of those, you know, $15 copays contribute to that $500, and then once you hit that, then you're solid. But I think you still have to do copays. Like I said, I get really fuzzy on the specifics. Co-insurance, percent of medical expense you pay after deductible is met. Yeah, don't even ask me. Maybe this video will say it a little better.
Millions of us now have health insurance under the Affordable Care Act, or what some people call Obamacare. But like many
I
things in
currently
life,
have
your health
Medicaid.
insurance can often be confusing and complicated. Whether you've been insured for years or you're new to the game, understanding your policy is important to your health and your wallet. First things first, you have to pay your premium every month or your insurance could get canceled, kind of like your cable subscription. You can also think of it like a shared healthcare piggy bank. We all chip in each month, even if we're healthy, so the money is there when we need it. If you get insurance at work, your employer probably pays most of your premium and the rest comes out of your paycheck automatically. If you have Medicaid, you most likely don't have to pay any premium at all. The federal government and your state take care of that. If you're insured through a new health insurance marketplace, depending on your income, you may be eligible for a tax credit that pays a portion of your premium. Once you have that shiny new insurance card, you'll want to try really hard to keep it in your wallet. To better your odds at staying healthy, be sure to take advantage of the free preventive services that all new insurance plans provide. But of course,
If you know, you know.
stuff happens, and that's when insurance really comes in handy. Now, having insurance helps a lot, but it doesn't mean all your health care is going to be free. There are lots of details about
Which
your
is kind of
insurance plan
insane.
that affect how much you pay when you get sick or injured. If you have Medicaid,
Hey, that's
a lot
me.
of these services could very well be free. Otherwise, you'll likely have to pay something when you go to the doctor or fill a prescription. This is called a copay when it's a specific dollar amount, like $25 per visit, or coinsurance if it's a percentage of the bill.
Okay.
There's also the deductible.
So like, I mean, like, medical, vision, and dental are all different things, but like that's like if you go to the dentist and instead of them being like, okay, that'll be $50 to see us at the dentist today, they'll be like, okay, so the bill is like $370 and that's going to be billed to your insurance, and your co-insurance that you're going to be paying is 10% of the total bill. So then you'd be giving them $37, if I'm understanding this correctly.
That's how much comes out of your own pocket before your insurance starts paying. Depending on your plan, you might have a deductible for all your care, or it might only apply to some types of care, like hospital stays and prescriptions. So read your plan material, because it could add up to thousands of dollars.
Real quick.
Another important part of your plan is the out-of-pocket maximum. This is the most you'll ever have to pay in any 1 year, at least for the benefits your plan covers. Your insurer will pay 100% of anything beyond the maximum for the rest of the year. It can be just as confusing dealing with prescriptions. Your plan has a list of drugs it will pay for called a formulary, but the prices vary. Check with your doctor or pharmacist because a generic drug might fix you up the same as a brand name drug, but the price difference could be huge. So, those are the costs typically involved. But remember that they'll be affected by your insurance plan's provider network. This is a list of doctors and hospitals that are connected to your plan. Insurance companies negotiate discounts with these providers. Stay in network and the discounts get passed to you. Go out of network and you could end up paying full price. And remember that out-of-pocket limit? It won't work if you go out of network. In some plans like HMOs or EPOs, your insurance would pay nothing if you go out of network. In other plans, like PPOs, your
I had a
insurance will cover
PPO.
you no matter where you go, but you'll pay
But
a
the
lot more
percentage
if you
is
go
different.
out of network.
So that what that would look like is that in network, if you have a PPO in network, they'll cover up to 90% of whatever it is. But if you go out of network, they'll cover 60% of what it is. So if you go to an in-network dentist and they charge you $500, then you'd pay $50. But if you go to an out-of-network one and they charge you $500, then you'd be paying $200, something like that. Excuse me. Yeah, you'd be paying $200. Yeah, so that's the difference between an HMO and a PPO. Because an HMO, if it's inside, then you just have your copay. Yeah, that's gross. I'm so sorry. Excuse me. But with PPO, it's like it's a whole thing. HMOs are typically better prices, but you have to stay in network, and a PPO will typically be less good prices, but with the ability to go out of network and still have some partial coverage.
Also, if you want to visit a specialist like an orthopedist, some plans require a referral from your primary care doctor. Sound easy enough? Well, sometimes staying in network can be tricky. In a hospital, it's possible that your surgeon could be in network while your anesthesiologist is not. If this happens to you, don't be afraid to negotiate with your provider or file an appeal with your insurer. So as you can
Why
see,
is that
there's a lot to
on
think about when you choose an
person?
insurance plan each year. Some plans may have low premiums, but fewer doctors or hospitals and high deductibles. There are trade-offs, and understanding and choosing among plans isn't always easy. Remember, if you have questions, call your health plan and ask, or check with your hospital or doctor. If you still have questions, your state insurance department or consumer assistance program can help. With the Affordable Care Act, there's new support for consumers, so take advantage of it. Having health insurance protection is a good thing, especially when you know how it works. We hope you're now better prepared for the next time you have
No
to
one
pull
will
that
ever
insurance
know how
card
it works.
out of your wallet.
And that's the
Stay
point.
safe, America.
Horrible. Many types of insurance plans. Let's talk about the two most common types. HMOs, health maintenance organizations, plan provides care through a network of doctors, only in network. Can be the most affordable option, depends on circumstances. Does not cover non-emergency out-of-network services. Require primary care referral to see a specialist. So that's where anytime you want to go see someone other than your primary care, you have to get a referral from your primary care. That's sometimes called like having a gatekeeper, is what that can sometimes be called. And a PPO, preferred provider option, special network or group of providers. So there's still an in-network. Lower cost sharing for in-network provider services. No primary care gatekeep to specialist or hospital visits. That's really important, especially if like you have a chronic illness, or when I was a kid, what that ended up looking like is like I messed up my knee and I was able to go directly to a physical therapist and I didn't need a referral from the primary care to go see a physical therapist, right? Because the primary care is not going to be able to help me with my bent up knee. That's physical therapy. Anyway, higher out-of-network fees compared to in-network, but compared to an HMO, the out-of-network fees are smaller. Typical has a larger network. Anyway, there you go. Oh, Lord. Yeah, definitely. This is a hallmark of an efficient system right here. This is peak. This is the pinnacle of what humans are capable of. So stupid. Excuse me. The sniffles are still really gross. Version of the ACA penalizes employers who do not offer coverage that meets minimum value and affordability standards. So offering something that doesn't meet those standards is the same thing as not offering something. Penalties can apply to employees with 50 or more full-time employees. That should say employers with 50 or more full-time employees. Chart below shows how those employers are. Jesus Christ. You gotta zoom in again. I got bad eyes, don't mind me. Gimme. Did the employer have at least 50 full-time equivalent employees in the previous year? No. Penalties do not apply with fewer than 50. Fewer than 25. Under average annual wages under covers at least 50% of full-time employees from customers not received a tax credit for tax activities. The employer may be eligible for health insurance tax credit to purchase coverage. Okay, but they might be able to do something. So if yes, they have more than 50. Does the employer offer health insurance coverage at least 95% of its full-time workers and their dependent children? No. Did at least one full-time employee receive a premium tax credit? Yes. The employer must pay a penalty. Okay. Penalty for each month the employer fails to offer coverage is $2,500 divided by 12. So yearly it's $2,500, but the monthly cost is divided by 12 times the number of full-time employees. So yearly it's $2,500 per employee, and that is paid monthly. That's the stupidest way to write that. So it's worse if the company offers insurance that does not pay at least 60% of the covered healthcare expenses for a standard population. And at least what? Yeah, this is so confusing. The shop marketplace.
If you're a small employer looking for health insurance, look no further than the Shop Marketplace. The Small Business Health Options Program, or Shop Marketplace, is where small businesses find and enroll in affordable, flexible health insurance for their employees. We make it easier for small employers to offer high-quality health and dental coverage to employees. You may even qualify for a special tax credit that'll lower what comes out of your pocket. Here are some quick tips about the Shop Marketplace. It is specifically for small businesses. It's generally open to employers with 50 or fewer full-time employees, including religious and non-profit organizations.
Things like
And
churches,
you can
'cause they
start
can have
offering
employees.
coverage any month of the year. It's online and available when you are. Healthcare.gov has dozens of resources to learn more about eligibility, tax credits, and coverage options, and lets you enroll and manage your coverage any time of day that works for you.
I have a sole proprietorship because I do contract work for my mom's engineering company and like odd jobs for like fixing computers and stuff. I wonder if I count as a small business and would be able to take advantage of the shop marketplace. That's an interesting question.
It
I'm
puts
technically
you
not an
in
employee.
control.
I'm like the
You
owner.
decide how much to contribute to premiums, when to start enrollment, and how you want to offer coverage, like a single plan or choice of plans. Providing health insurance is an important business decision, and the Shop Marketplace helps you make the best choice for your business. Registered agents or brokers can help you evaluate your options, choose a plan, complete your application, and manage your enrollment. This is all at no additional cost to you. Visit healthcare.gov to find a Shop Marketplace registered agent or broker to get personalized support and help today. Ready to shop? Go to healthcare.gov/small-business and get started.
Here's my only concern. What's their incentive? There's always an incentive. There's always an incentive. Typically, what the incentives look like for like when you walk into a Bed Bath and Beyond and you want help, the incentive is that that person is being paid hourly to do things, right? And there's like the employment contract. So like that's the incentive. The incentive is that their boss is paying them to do those things. There's like, you can talk about the micro game of like being paid hourly versus salary, like how the incentive structures work there. But either way, like, you know, the incentive isn't something like commission, like with a car dealership. The incentive that that car dealer has to talk to you or to get you into a car is that they get commission. So when you have a broker for the health insurance shop marketplace for small businesses that free to you, I wonder what their incentive is. If it's like, is it taxpayer dollars? Because like it's not clear. Because like if they're paid by the government for doing this service, then like, okay, fine. But like, are they getting commission? Like those kinds of things, it just makes me have a lot of questions that are unanswered. I couldn't tell you. Oh, the group chat. Oh, my ribs are sore. But like on my right side, I think it's, I couldn't tell you exactly why. But like I can definitely tell it's like from posture. Oh. Wonder why it's my right side that like gets sore and not my left. Oh, chapter 3. Boo, I'm late. Did the other reading. I need to read chapter 3. Don't mind me. Give me 1 second. Chapter 3. Okie dokie. Chapter 3, here we come. Ooh, I wonder. This is an issue for me to be streaming. That's an interesting question. I'm genuinely not sure. Screw it. 3. 5. Let's finish this. Let's finish this first. Health and dental plans. Is your permanent day. 2022 summary of benefits coverage or 22 summary of benefits. Select a bronze option and a gold option. Why are all of these child dental? Hello? Why are all these child dental? Why are they all child dental? What is happening? $60 HDHPP. Doing something wrong? Genuinely do not understand. We're just getting. What's INF stand for? Oh, jeez. Oh, God. We're not even halfway. Oh. What do I have to retain from at least 2 differences, huh? That they're all plus child dental. I thought that that was like central to the premise. I am just stupid. What a riveting hour and a half. You ever take a breath so deep it feels like you're stretching out your ribs? That can't be good. Awesome. Oh, we soldier on. We soldier on! Huh. That's not vague. Do you need a referral to see a specialist? Yes, but you may still refer to certain specialists. Great, non-answer. Whoa. Huge difference on the overall deductible. This has the business. Okay, let's look here to see what the Jesus. Okay. Okay. Deductible 0. What's the discussion? Oh, where to start with this? Sorry, I haven't been saying anything because I don't understand how a system like this is possible. I still don't understand who you are. Is you the company or is you the patient, the employee? read this. I don't. But how much is the company paying for any of this? Because the way that this is all worded is that it's all the employee. This is like distressing. As a student, like I have no idea how to properly evaluate what's going on. But like as a person, in this hypothetical, like I'm overwhelmed. This isn't even my real life. Give me a second. Okie dokie. Well, I am. I'm gonna call it here. I'm gonna call it here because Margot's coming home early from work. She had a thing. It's fine. And this assignment seems impossible. So yeah, thanks for hanging out while we got through all the content. Woohoo! I'm probably gonna private this pod. Just pretend it never happened. Anyway, thanks. Bye.